What's going on in the Ottawa real estate market? If you would like to find out, please stick around. My name is Faiz Versey and I'm a real estate broker with LePage team Realty in Ottawa, and it would be my pleasure to bring you this market update. For those of you who are thinking of buying and selling any kind of property, please do look me up. It would be again my pleasure to see how I may be of assistance to you. So in order to find out what's going on in the real estate market in Ottawa in December of 2022, please refer to the chart on your screen now. And what it's saying, this is a beautiful chart which we have obtained from the Canadian Real Estate Association. When I say we, I mean LePage team Realty. In one of our presentations, I saw this chart. And if we refer to this red box over here, what it's showing is that, let's say, if you can see my cursor, we were here in 2020 in respect of sales. And then in 2021, we just shot out to the sky. It was completely an anomaly, completely off the charts, and that's because of the COVID situation that had started to develop in 2020. Prior to that, in 2018, we had a pretty decent year. 2019, a pretty decent year. 2020 was a pretty decent year. And then 2021 was just completely off the charts. And now we are kind of coming back to normal, shall we say. That's the chart for 2022. And then we expect it to go down a little bit lower again in 2023. So what this is saying, and this is the crux of the whole situation, is that now that COVID is kind of over, we are coming back to more or less what would be considered a normal situation in Ottawa. And that's really what everything is pointing towards. So what we are seeing now, let's come back to 2022 and summarize that for you. We saw this huge run-up of in 3 months of about 20% in the first 3 months. And if any of you have seen my report back in April of last year, in which I said that the first 3 months of this year, that the first 3 months had gone up by 20%, and that would be very unusual for Ottawa because we've never seen 3 years in a row for the prices to increase by 20% consecutively. And looking back at the 65-year history of Ottawa, which is a lot of history, we've seen 2 years, but we've never seen 3. And I thought that's why that this year that those unusual returns may start to falter, and in fact, that's exactly what happened. The market that turned out to be the peak of the market for this year, and the market has been gradually coming down. Now, it's been coming down for various reasons. Those are economic conditions that nobody in the real estate market controls, neither the buyers, neither the sellers, or anybody or neither the real estate brokers, and so on. But what happened, for example, was that the interest rates shot up. They started going up in around the May mark, and in June they just shot up. And what that created was a situation where the buyers had to take a step back. Now, if you remember my report back in July, I had said, when I noticed that, I said, look, this is all going to start to settle down in a few months as the buyers understand what's going on, and then they rejig the math and come back to the market slowly. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. The market is starting to level off. So my friends, this is, I think, as instructive as I would like to make this seminar. There's a lot more that I can speak about, but this basically tells us everything we need to know now. Well, actually, there's one more chart. Let me quickly jump to that chart and put things in perspective for buyers and sellers. Let me just do that now. This is a wonderful chart. You've heard me mention this before. It's called the Ottawa Residential Average Sales Chart from 1956 to 2021. So this is 65 years of history. This is data. This is the truth. This is not me speaking. This is not you speaking or anybody else who wants to make some noise. When I say noise, because the media loves to make a lot of noise talking about how we're down 40% in sales this year and whatnot, when all that's happening is that we're returning to some kind of normal situation. But they don't explain that. News media is all about selling news, so they got to do what they got to do. But if you want good quality information, please come to somebody who works in the real estate industry, such as myself, and you will get the high quality information that will help you to make good decisions. So basically, this is wonderful data for 65 years. I do want to go over it very quickly so that I can help to calm the nerves of some of the buyers out there who bought in the January, February, March period. As I just showed you, the market had gone up. And I do need to mention this, that real estate is a long-term activity. Whatever happened 6 months ago really won't matter 6 years from now or 10 years from now, as you'll see from this chart. So this is a 65-year history. So if we look back at 1956, a house was selling for, let's say, $13,000 odd. And then if we go and look at where we are today, which is 2021, we'll know the 2022 figure in a month or 2 months. But let's say 2021, that house was worth $645,000. My friends, wow. So a house worth $13,000 is now worth $645,000. So the critical thing to understand is in this 65 years that has already gone by, everything that's happened in that 65 years is what is going to happen again in the next 65 years. So we've already seen the future. We've already seen what's coming down the road in the next 65 years. So in the last 65 years, we've had wars, we've had nuclear proliferation, we've had booms, we've had busts, we've had interest rates going high, we've had all kinds of problems. So my friends, we're going to see those problems again. And if that is the case, and in the previous 65 years, a property went from 13,000 to 645,000. In my view, I don't know the future. There's no reason why we won't see this again. So the property, which is worth whatever 645,000, is going to be worth God knows how many millions down the road. So from a long-term perspective, if you bought a home 6 months ago and it's declined somewhat in this year, look, that's really nothing to worry about. In the big scheme of things, in the what shall I say, in the fullness of time, which is what you're seeing on this graph, you're going to do just fine. So in fact, let me just put some stats to that. Let's look a bit more at this chart. It's very instructive. It's wonderful data. If we look at the number of negatives in the Ottawa market, and I just want to mention that I fully understand the Ottawa market. There are many other markets in Canada. If you have information, if you need information about any other market in Canada, I wouldn't know it myself, but I can certainly find out for you. I work for LePage Team Realty. We are part of LePage, which is a national company. So if you need information for any other part of Canada, please let me know and I'll see how I can get that information for you. So if we come back to this chart, which is talking about the Ottawa residential average sales chart from 1956 to 2021, you can see here, if I just look through this chart, count with me, let's see how many negatives we can find. So here's a negative 1, 2, and nothing on the rest of that column. If we go here, here's another one, 3, 4, 5. Now, we might see one in 2022. I don't know yet. We'll know at the end of the year. But just imagine that 5 negatives in 65 years and those 2 minor negatives. So Ottawa is a stable market. It's been for the last 65 years. I've seen no reason why it won't be for the next 65 years. So Mr. Buyer, just relax, just chill. Ain't nothing to worry about if you bought for the long term. If you bought for the short term, and people do sometimes buy for the short term. If you bought for the short term to just flip the property, well, I really don't have much advice for you because I don't think you're making any money at this stage. But people sometimes do buy for the short term where they want to buy a property and fix it up. Let's say beat up property, fix it up and sell it for a profit. That is certainly something you can do in the short term. If you have any such intention, then please let me know. I'll be happy to help you find such properties. But that's a very specific subset of people who buy property. Most people who buy property, for example, most of my clients are husband and wife who are trying to create a good life for themselves. They're very, very busy in their jobs, so they have good disposable income, but they have no disposable time. So they're looking for homes that are very easy to fix up, or perhaps are move-in ready for them. This chart is a wonderful example of saying, hey, just buy. Don't worry about it. And when I say just buy, I'm going to say that you can rent as well, but if you're renting, you're throwing away money. But some people do need to rent, and so I do need to recognize that as well. In fact, there's 2 groups of people that do need to rent. One we call the renters of choice or by choice, and one we call renters of necessity. So renters by choice are people who are perhaps moving around quite often and who would not be able to avail the long-term benefits of holding a property. So they just need to rent, or they just want to rent. And that's one of the reasons. There could be other reasons as well. And then there's another group of people that are renters of necessity. And those people are people who just cannot afford to buy a home. And approximately 70% of people in Canada own their own home. So home ownership is very popular in Canada. It's been a wonderful wealth building opportunity for people who have been able to get into that play. And so I would strongly encourage you, if you're a buyer and you're renting, if you're renting and you think you can buy, then just buy. Never rent if you can buy. But if you're in the 2 groups that I spoke about, then, well, that's fine. You can continue to rent because that's your decision or your situation. My friends, this pretty much gives me everything that I need to help you with. I think I've already spoken to buyers about why you should just chill. And if you have okay, let me just go back to one other chart and we can continue our discussion. So, Mr. Buyer, what I can say to you is that, look, we are sitting, the markets have come down this year approximately 18%. So a property that was worth approximately $757 in March is now worth $621. Wow. That's a huge discount, Mr. Buyer, as I just explained, that if you can afford to buy, just buy, hold for the long term, you're going to be just fine. Hold for the long term means hold for 10 years or longer. You're going to make a decent profit. Should be. I don't know the future, but that's what the past has told me, and that's what I expect will happen again in the future. Now, when it comes to sellers, let's talk about sellers as well. And let me go back to another chart that will help me a little bit more than this one. I can stay on this one as well. Okay, I think I can stay on this one. So, Mr. Seller, if you are thinking of selling, then that's a different story than from a buyer. Basically, as a seller, you have to decide why is it that you're selling. Usually it's for a personal decision and for a personal situation, such as, for example, you might be moving jobs. Maybe you're moving from Ottawa to somewhere else. Well, then you need to sell. And maybe you're upsizing, your family is growing, you want to move from a smaller home to a larger home. Maybe you're downsizing, maybe now at the end of your family cycle, family growth cycle, perhaps your children have left the house and you would like to downsize to a more manageable unit such as a condominium. Well, fine, then do that. Should you sell? It all depends on when you bought. If you bought in the last 12 months, it may not be such a great idea, but of course there are people who need to sell, whether sometimes they just need to sell because it's they got to move or something's happened in their life on an urgent basis. Maybe it's a family breakdown, such as a divorce. I mean, God forbid, but these things do happen. Well, then you need to sell. You need to sell. For most people, I'll say if you've bought a few years ago, then you're probably doing just fine. So let's just take a look at this. For example, this chart in the 5-year average. If you bought a few years ago, let's say 5 years ago, then your house may be worth 530. Today it's worth 621. There's a profit there. So if you sold even after selling fees, and is there anything other costs? Let's just say selling fees, you're still going to make a profit. And that profit, if it's your principal residence, will be tax-free. Isn't that amazing? So capital gains right now on your principal residence are one of the last few tax shelters that are available in Canada. So that is very beneficial for you. So my friend, Mr. Seller, if you're thinking of selling and you need some advices on how to do that, please feel free to look me up. I do have systems that will enable me to help you to sell your house for top dollar and as fast as possible. Similarly, for buyers, if you are looking for a home to find the right house at the right price, I have systems that will help you to do that. So please feel free to look me up. My friends, I hope you found all of this useful. There's a lot more that I can speak with you about, but I don't want the seminar to go too long. If you have more questions, you need more details, please feel free to reach out to me. You can give me a call, send me an email, however it's convenient for you. And before I go, if I can just say that if you found this video useful, please share it with your friends. As well, please do click on the like button and do subscribe to my channel if there is such an option available on where you're watching this video. That would be awesome. My friends, until I speak with you again, take care. Bye-bye.